Thank you Notion for sponsoring this video. Nothing screams new year like new habits. Unfortunately, you'll see why in a second. Every year I try to implement new better habits in my life, and I usually talk about those in December because I want to inspire you to create healthy routines and change your mindset in a positive way. One thing I feel about videos that talk about habits is that they are way too demanding. Meditate, journal, do morning pages, quit sugar, wake up at 5 a.m., etc. Those are all overwhelming things to start doing from zero, especially if you're trying to do them all at once. If you're watching this video and you've actually been able to implement these habits all at once and successfully, please tell me your secret because I cannot do it for sure. So after a year that was globally terrible for everyone, I decided that we deserve better habits in 2021. And with better habits, I mean habits that don't reflect unrealistic expectations of ourselves and create more disappointment and frustration than actual positive emotions. I've been developing the habits that I will talk about here myself, so they're proven to work in my specific case. And if you believe these would also be beneficial for your own life and personality, then I highly recommend you to take them up. So without further ado, here are 5 habits I implemented in 2020 that I recommend you to start in 2021. One thing I tried doing this year was becoming more environmentally aware. And this doesn't mean suddenly living a 100% sustainable lifestyle and keeping all of my garbage in a jar. What I did was, first of all, research a lot about good alternatives for household items and listing them and keeping a list for items I want to replace in the future for more sustainable alternatives, as well as being more aware of the trash I make and how I can reduce it. Another thing I decided I would stop doing is the cycle of buying and decluttering. I'm more interested in not cluttering at all than having to declutter all the time. So instead of just purging my house of stuff just so that I get more space to fill it again, I just shopped less and more intentionally throughout the year and invested in items that would last a long time. And the big message in this particular habit is that being more environmentally aware means you shouldn't constantly stress about the mistakes you make in the process. It's really difficult to completely transition to a sustainable lifestyle in a short amount of time, and I feel like there's a lot of guilt about that. I believe it's more important to work towards that goal and become incrementally better at it than trying to turn your life upside down all of a sudden. And tied to this principle, the second habit is giving yourself some slack. 2020 was a rough year for everyone, and I still think it's incredible how everyone was able to turn their lives around and adapt to a completely different work or learning environment, manage their families both at home and long distance, and still being able to try at least to keep it all together. So the second habit for 2021 is to really give yourself some slack. You're not failing at life if you didn't exercise for a week, if you haven't picked up a book in a month, or if you have a sudden need to binge watch the same show for the second time. Productivity comes in a cycle. You are constantly subject to psychological and hormonal fluctuations, and then you're impacted by the weather, your work environment, your health, and your own individual motivation, so it's completely impossible to stay efficient for a long time. If you're coming across a slump, just accept it, work through it, charge your batteries, enjoy the fact that you're actually going through a moment that will allow you to be more productive in the near future, and pat yourself in the back because if you're in a slump, it's because you are doing great work to reach that slump. Habit number 3 is move. I've never moved as much as I did in 2020, despite a pandemic and being locked down since March. Despite the lack of a gym subscription, and despite being completely aware that I will never be a runner, I did find good ways to move at home in my tiny apartment. I bought a couple of weights, a pack of resistance bands, and 2 ankle weights. I think the full thing cost me under $50, which is basically 1 month at the gym. And I've been doing free fitness blender workouts on a regular basis. I've also taken the opportunity to think of cleaning the house as a workout in itself and use the short walks I take with my dog as an opportunity to move at a faster pace. In general, I just try to take as many opportunities as I can to move, even if it's not a full-fledged workout. Light stretching, Pilates, and even just a couple of burpees during my lunch break are all great. Overall, my goal was to focus less on really structured exercise routines, which I wasn't able to do because I had almost no equipment, and I was more motivated to just keep moving throughout the year, and that's definitely a habit I want to carry over to 2021. Help your future you more. This is a big one, guys. Every time I make a decision that I believe may impact me in the future, I just try to make the decision that will benefit me the most in the future, even if that means I'm making a decision that I will not like as much in the present. This is actually not something I implemented in 2020, it's something I've been doing my whole life, but it is something I want to keep doing next year, and I do believe it's an incredibly simple mindset to implement. And this one, I guarantee, will definitely change your life. I feel like a lot of our decision making is based on the present and our present perception of things. But sometimes, if you just think it through, you can anticipate things. You can anticipate how you'll feel about something, how you'll react to something, or if something you're doing now will drive you completely crazy in the future. This principle can also be applied to huge things and also to tiny things. And I believe that if you've never thought about this in an active way, it's better to start doing this exercise with smaller things. Another great thing is that this habit can actually create new habits. So here's an example. Every night before I go to bed, I go to the kitchen and prepare some overnight oats to eat the following morning. Sometimes, well, I really don't feel like preparing breakfast for the following day at 10 p.m. and I would rather watch TV and then jump right into bed or something. But if I don't prepare my breakfast, that means I'll either have to skip breakfast in the morning or simply eat something that is not as packed in nutrients as that particular meal. So, is playing video games for 5 more minutes really worth the trouble I'll have in the morning if I open my fridge and find out I don't have breakfast? Nope. So in order to benefit myself in the future, I'll do something now that I really don't want to do, but I'll thank myself for doing it in the morning. As I keep this mindset of benefiting myself in the future, I'll make the decision every night to just prepare my overnight oats and be done with it. And just like that, bam, I built a habit. Also, allow yourself to restart multiple times. There are no rules as to how many times you can restart during the year. January doesn't have to be the ultimate month where you start your perfect habits. Drop the misconception that there's a universal standard for implementation of routines. Everyone in the world doesn't have to start working out on the 1st of January to actually achieve a healthy exercise routine throughout the year. If you're failing at some of your habits in February, you don't have to wait until next January to try again, you can just try again tomorrow. The best way to actually achieve something is to allow yourself to fail and retry. No guilt, no strings attached. That's part of the reason why I'm not a fan of habit trackers. Habit trackers can be highly motivating or not motivating at all. If you're in the middle of the month and your tracker is still empty, you'll just think, well, I will start trying again next month. And that means you just lost 15 days of habit building that you could have perfectly used if you weren't attached to the misconception that that pattern in your notebook needs to be perfect. However, if you still think you want to build a habit tracker for 2021 and that benefits you in particular, you can create your own or download a template with Notion, which is a software that I've been using to project plan, take notes, and keep track of my goals. And I've been using it exclusively for almost 2 years, and since then I still need to find any type of organization software that accomplishes so much. If you already have your goals for 2021 typed down, then you can count on Notion to help you track and achieve them. Habit tracking, reading lists, task management, goal setting, learning, writing, personal development, and so on. I use myself most of these spreads for my own individual planning, and you can duplicate all of the templates in their library to your own workspace, and then customize everything to your needs. You can use and explore Notion anytime you want and for as long as you like, because their personal plan is literally free, without any word or block limits. It's the best investment you can make for 2021 and to start fresh after a dreadful year, and it doesn't cost a cent. To start using Notion today, go and click the link provided in the description box to get your free account. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next week. Bye guys!